Step on up, Gary. I'm Brian Stelter from CNN's Reliable Sources. When they asked me to moderate this discussion, I thought Gary Vee needs no moderating. But I'll go ahead and then play along. And actually asked you, I think it might be a tough question. He did not want to hear this question ahead of time, so it will be a surprise.
Tell them how improv I really am.
You swore you did not want to know. I was trying to prep you. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to tell us something about your business and your brand that you've never told anyone before.
Oh shit, that is hard.
That's our way to get acquainted this morning.
I talk a lot about making a lot of money selling baseball cards, but the single biggest profit play I ever made as a youngster before I got into my dad's business was the dollar stores had just come out in the mid-90s and they weren't selling product that were made for dollar stores. They were still dollar stores where they would buy old inventory in warehouses, bring it in, and so they were complete hodgepodge, random stuff.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, I used to go to them, look at them and see if I could find some baseball card or football card stuff to sell at shows. Out of nowhere, in the height of Shaquille O'Neal's rookie year, when there was Shaq toys, for some unknown reason, a dollar store in Phillipsburg Mall got a crap load of Shaq figures at $1 a piece. Now this is 1993. I buy them and then walk, I don't know, probably from here to the curtain over there, which was where the dollar store was versus where Kmart was in this small store. And in between my walk, I switched the 10 figures out of the dollar store bag and into a Kmart bag that I went and got from Kmart and went back to the dollar store and returned them at Kmart with no receipt because you didn't need one back then, and Kmart was selling them for $9.99 a piece. And for a 3-week period, I made almost $10,000 buying Shaq figures for $1 and then selling them back to Kmart for $9.99 cash.
Now tell us how we can do that in this current economic environment. Where do you see that
arbitrage
return opportunity here?
I think garage sailing is the big ROI play. Yes, the garage sale eBay conversion has some of the biggest margins in the world. I truly believe that every person can make $1,000 a week by waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, garage sailing on a Saturday for 4 hours, and then posting the stuff they find on eBay.
All right. Well, let's get into what you do.
That's a serious thing.
I think it actually is.
Because a lot of people are like, how do I make money? Like, it's right there. Like, literally become educated on VHS and DVD and CD, like arbitrage on eBay, because everybody's selling them at garage sales for like $3 for a box of them, and you will make $1,000 every weekend. Who wants $1,000 every weekend?
This is a very practical session already. I love it.
I like practicality.
People know you on Twitter. People know you online. They know you on YouTube. How do you actually divvy up your day? What is a day in your life?
They're all different. Today is right. Here's my day. We've got this. Okay. Right. I worked out this morning. We got this. I have to rush back now, and I'm meeting with the new CMO of North America for Pepsi for an hour. Then I've got a couple of in-house meetings. Then I've got a call. I'm raising a new fund. So I've got some LP calls trying to get some money. Then I have to run to Mondelez, the former Kraft in New Jersey, a client. We have a 4-hour session for the future of e-com with them that we're consulting on. Then I have to drive to Newark Airport. I have a couple of calls in there. I fly to Vegas. I land in Vegas, I have a quick meeting on somebody I'm interviewing, then I have to wake up in the morning and I have 2 speeches in Vegas tomorrow. I mean, it's always different. I speak, but I run VaynerMedia, I run Vayner RSC, and then, D-Rock's over there, we create content, I do the show. I'm on the flight to Vegas, I have to edit my new book and get the final touches. So, 80% VaynerMedia and the fund, and then a little bit of wine library and my personal brand stuff. Like, every minute is so precious. I have a full-time assistant, everything, it's very intense. Like, he knocks on the glass if I'm a few minutes behind. Like, every minute is so precious. And then on top of that, truly actually working 18 hours a day. Like, I left the office last night at 11:49, and so, like, that's real. Like, I think the thing that I spew a lot, and I know a lot of people by the faces here know my spiel, like, I'm trying to connect the dots in my own mind, how to get people to really understand, especially if you're a startup or trying to start your own thing, like, the amount of people that have startups in this city and are at New York City, the grind hustle city, and are really willing to stop working on their company at 7 o'clock and then go out for drinks or whatever, it blows my mind that people really understand the level of time and full all-in commitment it takes to have the number one best thing that can happen in your life professionally, which is living on your own terms. Owning your own business that financially pays for your life and your happiness, and you're not willing to put it all on the table, especially when you're still not in a chapter in your life where you don't have as many responsibilities. It speaks to what I know is going on right now, which is this is the single greatest generation of fake entrepreneurs of all time. It's true. And the reason I want to say it is I want it to be on all these cameras, because in 6 years when we all look back at this generation and post-game it, we'll be like, that was the greatest generation of fake entrepreneurs of all time. Mainly because it's so easy. Everybody coming out of school now, how old are you?
I just turned 30, so I'm starting to...
So you're a youngster. I'm 39. My generation, people didn't think they were going to start their businesses coming out of school. You went and got a job. Every single kid that I run into now that's under 22 years old defaults into an entitlement that they're going to run and own their own company. And on their idea, people are going to give them millions of dollars to start it. It's a broken game, and it's going to be straight carnage.
Is it that millennials are lazy?
No, millennials are fucking rad. I'm all in on millennials.
Just checking.
By the way, this is happening with 40 and 50-year-olds too. There's a lack of self-awareness, and it's been, you know what? There's something else. It's not a millennial's fault. If you're 22, right? 9/11 happened before you can even remember, almost, right? The last economic bust, 2008 and 9, we're starting to get far away. If you're 14 when that happens, you're not really thinking about that.
Right.
And so, the times just have been too good. In the tech sector, we're not in middle America. Like, the game is great. Like, the economy is great. Like, what happened is people made money. Every dentist and lawyer and rich guy or gal is looking for their Mark Zuckerberg. They're playing the lotto. They're being affected by what happened. They want to write a $50,000 check or a $25,000 check. They have their friends, they're at work, they're 52, they have money. Their friend's like, my son has a big idea. And they're like, oh, I want to invest in that. And so that 22-year-old's getting $100K from me, lawyer Johnny McGee, because I think I'm going to turn that 100,000 into 48 million because I read an article about Uber or Facebook. Guys, there's like 7 companies that have made it insane. And then there's 70,000 a week that die. And so I think we're in I'm trying to navigate this because after everything I just said,
you're investing.
All day, because there will be, and here's why. Because at the same token, there will be hundreds of businesses built this year that will be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, because this is the second industrial revolution. There is a land grab. Every business is going to be disrupted. So you've got a really difficult game. I wish it was as simple as it was the first Web 1.0 bubble, because I would just sit on money and wait for the carnage and buy things on a nickel on the dollar. The problem is that's not what's happening. There's real shit being built, real opportunity. So you're navigating through a very difficult minefield.
It sounds to me like it's the best of times, but it's the most uncertain of times for you as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. For me, I'm good because I'm a wartime general. Meaning, I built both of my businesses during down times. I built Wine Library after 9/11, where my entire business was Wall Street and wine. So I navigated through that. I started Vaynermedia right after the financial crisis, and I was selling social media. Nobody wanted to buy it. I'm an immigrant. I like zero. I like being a wartime general. So I'm actually weirdly just waiting for shit to hit the fan. I want to wake up and hear that Wall Street did it again, we're all fucked. I'm waiting for that. And by the way, you all know that's what's happening, right? Those fucking characters.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the country. You mentioned Middle America.
Yes.
And you mentioned to me earlier, there's reasons why you have an office in Chattanooga, for example.
Yes.
Why is that?
I think that agencies are broken in their strategies because most of their clients sell in an American market to America, right? And all their offices are in LA, San Francisco, and New York. And those are 3 complete outliers as cities to America. They just are.
And your clients, you got GE, you mentioned Pepsi.
Right, Unilever, Kraft, Mondelez, Toyota. I mean, every business in America sells to all of America, unless you're a niche product that sells to the coasts because you're the milk of a monkey's ass, right? And it's $47 for a cup of it.
I wish that was a joke.
So you know what I mean, Brian? Like every big business, any Fortune 500 company relies on their sales in every state. And all of us that are here, we are in a very different mindset than when, the benefit of doing a book tour in what people consider second, third, fourth tier. I don't even do Chicago and Dallas. I'm mapping it now in my head. It's like Des Moines and Columbus, Ohio. Like this is real places where Dollar General and Walmart and Costco rule the day. And I want to make sure that my agency understands where this stuff is being sold and the psychology of somebody who literally is saving every dollar and every penny, doesn't buy $8 juice, and is living that lifestyle. I mean, I have kids that work for me that I know what they get paid. I know them personally, so I know what support or not support they're getting from their parents. Right. I know they're living on a budget. They have 4.5 roommates, and they're buying $11 cold coffee every day. And I'm like, fuck, these kids are on a different shit, right? And so that's cool. And not only are they buying $11 cold coffee, they're going to Coachella, the Kentucky Derby, and 17 weeks in fucking Amsterdam because we don't have a vacation policy, right? So they're playing a different game, their mind's in a different place, they value different things, and then I think about a 36-year-old mom in Arkansas who every fucking penny matters, and she's stressed because she's a mother and cares about her children, and the pressure of how we have to feed our children and eat quality food, and the expense of that versus what she can afford, and how do we help her, how do we motivate her, how do we educate her, how do we lead her towards whatever goals we have in business. Those are two different psyches, and it's hard for me to assume my 24-year-old that grew up on the Upper East Side in Manhattan, went to private schools, and now works at Vaynermedia, can have the empathy to deploy himself to the 36-year-old mom in Arkansas. Yeah, though it's actually, Brian, it's an interesting way you put it. Like, to me, it's all kind of been the same, which is reverse engineer how to bring the most disproportionate value to whoever's paying attention to you around the subject matter. So it's the same thesis. For Wine Library, it was wine's broken in America. Nobody cares about wine because everybody talks down to people about wine. I know a crap load about wine. I'm a Jersey boy. I'm not gonna talk down to anybody. Let me start this and talk to people about wine, and maybe we'll convert some of these young dudes that may now think wine's cooler than just drinking a beer or liquor, and that's basically what happened. Let me use YouTube when it just was invented, and let me do that. That worked. Social, crush it, when I wrote it, was, hey, there's a real way now with YouTube and Twitter and Facebook to build a business on your terms. I wrote that. And now with Vaynermedia, it's like, hey, big businesses, mid-sized businesses, there's a real way to not waste money on all the marketing behavior. So and even what we talked about there, back to our conversation before we came here, you said, hey, there's London, there's this. I said, let's not talk about that. Let's figure out how to bring them value. If you default into bringing value to your audience, regardless of what your subject matter is, you will always win because you've won the leverage game of providing value first.
What is your strategy for creating content? You've got a sort of a virtuous cycle of this, right?
Yes.
Where you're always producing.
We came up with a pretty good concept. Obviously, a lot of you watch the show and know D-Rock in India, and they're part of a team that is basically a production team for my brand. But we needed something to be a starting point. And the reason I started the Ask Gary Vee show was I knew that it was the best way for me to start producing content that wasn't naturally bubbling up in my own head. When you get to ask the questions, you're asking me different things that aren't on my mind. I put out the show, that's a piece of content. But then those 5 answers are starting points to other content. In India, or Steve will come to me and say, hey, that second answer, you haven't talked a lot about parenting. They'll ask me 5 or 6 other questions. That becomes the framework of a Medium post or a LinkedIn post or a Facebook long form post. So by doing the show every day, it's my seed to create the level of content volume. And listen, it's been interesting. All my successful friends, all my people that are paying attention, especially in the last 3-4 months, so many people are coming up to me and like, man, the level and the amount of content that you're putting out just seems insane. It's because there was a really smart strategy 15 months ago of, let's start a show that forces me to consistently put out content. Let's then use those seeds to grow out more pieces of content. And we literally are, D-Rock's filming now. Yes, we may show this in its entirety, or I might have just said something, and that will turn into 3 different articles. We're just always on collecting and using those as the gateway drugs to longer form content.
So daily is a model that you have to force yourself to adhere to keep creating.
I think it's very hard to create compelling content on a daily basis. And I think that everybody here knows that. It's not easy. And so I think Q&A is a very intriguing way to get there because you're using the incredible skills of others.
What do you find is there may not be an easy answer to this. Is the most valuable platform for you right now when it comes to distributing your content?
Facebook.
Above all else?
Yes, Facebook. Facebook is the beast. Facebook is the foundation. Facebook is grossly underestimated by the most intense tech people because they want to be on to the next thing. But the scale of Facebook, the ability to spend a little bit of money and target, if I want to target, I'm getting a lot of TV offers right now because I'm running the Ask Gary Vee show against production companies on TV. Now, I don't want to do a TV show, I'm just doing it mainly for my ego, but it was really more of a test to see if I started running this show against employees of production companies, would I start getting more cold emails about doing a TV show? And it's been insane.
It's a heck of a way to get a resume or a highlight reel in front of a production company.
Yeah, I mean, all these people are like, how do you raise money from a VC? How do you get a TV show? How do you get a book deal? Easy, have them come to you.
You say easy, I'm pretty sure.
Well, easy, AKA, if you don't have talent, you're not gonna get any of those fucking things. So, I love how, this is back to like everybody feeling they're entitled to being an entrepreneur. Like, if you're not smart and charismatic and compelling to listen to or watch, and you wanna be a personal brand, you lost. It's a prerequisite. I want to be the quarterback of the New York Jets. I lost. I love when people are like, Gary, I'm gonna do what you're gonna do. I'm like, you didn't even look me in the eye when you just said that. You're weird as fuck. You're not doing shit. So I think self-awareness is something that needs to start being talked about a little bit as well.
Could be a good book idea for you. You mentioned Facebook. Is Snapchat something you're thinking a lot about?
A ton.
If you read the press, you think that's the next move?
I'm an investor in Snapchat heavily. I'm a huge believer in Snapchat. I'm spending, just to make it black, here's an exclusive. I am negotiating on a daily basis to try to get a Snapchat show on Discovery because I want every 16-year-old entrepreneur to think I'm the guy. It's the gateway drug. Like CNN, had its, 1990 Iraq war. It was its watershed moment, 24-hour news. The internet's had its thing. Like Snapchat, I like when people write articles, Snapchat is this generation's MTV. They're so wrong. Snapchat to a 14 to 22-year-old is the entire cable industry. I mean, every 15-year-old girl in America, if you're just curious about what they do, they go home whenever they're done, if they have after-school activities or whatever, but whenever they get home, whether it's 4 or 7 or whatever, the second they get home, they go to the room, they close the door, they jump on their bed, they grab their phone, and they stay on Snapchat until they go to sleep. For hours. And so, people are grossly underestimating what 125 million daily active users that are spending hours on the platform looks like. And so there's a gross underestimation of what's really happening there, and yes, I'm desperately trying to impose my will into that platform because I will have a disproportionate lead as the entrepreneur to that generation when they start hitting the market 5-6 years from now.
Let's go to questions from the audience, but my last question about Snapchat is, what's the untold story about how they got to this point? To some older people, it's as if Snapchat snuck right up on us.
I'm really glad you asked this question. Everything that you're about to watch for the next 30 years with humans is pendulum swings. Social media. Everybody tell everybody about everything, right? Momentum went this way. Happened for a couple years, all the momentum, all the conversation, everybody bet on it, every app tried to do it, and then all of a sudden Snapchat came along and said, no, wait a minute. In real life, when we talk, those things disappear. Privacy has value. Let's push the other way. And so they found their white space. I actually am already starting to figure out what's the swing back to open in a post-Snapchat world 5 years from now.
On that note, because that's wild, let's take questions from the audience. Let's go right here to the front row.
Yes, I've got a question. Inspirational, amazing, 18-hour days you talked about. How do you find, you're looking well.
Thank you.
So how do you find time for health and wellness in that schedule?
well, I wasn't doing health and wellness as of June of last year, and finally, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I finally figured out what was happening, which is I believe with health and wellness, and probably everything, you're either accountable to yourself or you're not, bless you. And so in every other part of my life, I'm accountable. I feel accountable, especially with my businesses. Like the rigor, the sense of responsibility I have for the other 550 employees is greater than my own well-being. And when I said that, notice even how I said the sentence. I just said I'm accountable to myself, but I explained it as I was accountable to other people. And what I just did with you, by accident, is how I figured this out. I was like, what's the matter with me? I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna lose, or I'm not gonna be able to do as many cool things. Like this is not gonna work. This is black and white. I'm gonna treat my body like a business. I've audited, I'm gonna lose, I've lost. And so then I said, why is that? I'm so good at these other things. And I realized, holy crap, the things I'm best at are when I'm accountable to somebody but not myself. So I realized I'm gonna introduce a person. I'm gonna hire a full-time health person, and I'm more accountable to Mike than I am to myself. The reason I work out every single day is I don't want to let Mike down. I have to be down at 5:45 because Mike's going to be upset. And so I hacked myself. And so where do I find health? I found it. Like I just do it every day. There's an hour every day scheduled, like period, end of story. I work out every day of my life, and I changed my eating behavior because of it, because fuck if I'm going to do the work, And that's how I hacked it. I reverse engineered what I was doing. I think everybody here is either accountable to themselves or accountable to others, and you need to self-audit yourself and figure out if you're not doing well in business, maybe you need to hire a couple of employees because maybe you'll feel a sense of responsibility to them. Maybe that's the motivation you're looking for.
So in Vegas tomorrow morning, you will work out at that time even though you're in Vegas?
Yes, and Mike isn't going on his flight, and usually he travels with me the whole nine, but this is a quick in and out.
Right.
But I will have to FaceTime with him while I do cardio, because I truly, if I don't, won't do it as well.
Nice touch. Next question. Let's go here.
So we're all here because you're a huge influencer to us. Who influenced you?
My parents. And that's it. And I know it's like, I get mad at this question because I feel like it's either cliche or maybe, I always ask myself, am I too egotistical to give it to somebody else? It's just the truth. Like I don't look at Elon Musk or Zucks or Cuban or the president or, I don't do that. It's just not real. It's just not true. I look at my parents. I know their truths. I know they came to this country with nothing. I know that my dad worked every minute. I didn't even know him until I was 14. I know that my mom is the foundation of my self-esteem, which is the driving fuel of my success. There's not even a close second to the entity of my parents. And I don't know these other people. I know their public persona in the same way that a lot of you don't know me. As a matter of fact, the thing I probably am happiest about in the world is the people that come into VaynerMedia that have some sense of me, I think like me a lot more 2 or 3 years later when they get to look under the hood. But I'm too scared maybe to even give that away to somebody else without knowing that I won't have the time to look under the hood.
There's a hand right next to you as well. Here.
So I'm a day one middle-aged guy like you.
Yes.
And I deal with the younglings.
Yes.
And I observe and I love your commentary on it. And I'm finding that saying to them, you're not very skilled, so this brain power's a little short, and you don't work very hard, so show up. They don't like it when I tell them that. And so the interesting part is that when I'm working with them, and some of them have a chance, what's your perspective on dealing with the younglings as a day one guy? How do you get them to do stuff without telling them that they're stupid and lazy?
I actually think of it in reverse. I mean, most of my 22 and 23-year-olds would look in your face and think that you're finished. And fuck you.
Yeah, and I gotta make money for them, they don't care. I'll make money fall out of the sky and they tell me it's irrelevant.
But the question, it's not that it's not about cool or what have you. What you define as money might be different than the way they define as money. Like, okay, cool, how much money are you gonna make for your 23-year-old? Give me a number.
I'll probably do about $40 million for him this year.
No, not for them. Rick doesn't get $40 million. How much does Rick, the 23-year-old, get? And give me the truth, because the number isn't high.
Yeah. Owner of the company, I mean, I don't know if he'll probably get $2-3 million compensation this year.
Explain. Let's go further. I want to know how a 23-year-old gets
I got a company founder.
Okay.
I am an old school web strategy guy. I know what works.
Yep.
Send the email, do the this, put in the time every day. Don't want to do that. Highly resistive, and it's a communication problem for me.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do it for yourself? Yeah, that's the real question, right? Like,
Yeah.
cool, if you know what the fuck you're talking about, do it for yourself. I do. I work harder and I'm smarter than all my 22-year-olds. I'm better at social media than everybody at Vaynermedia. I'm looking at them right now, just to remind them. Like, so honestly, I think you're rolling with like trying to razz them. Razz yourself. Like, why are you trying to funnel through a 23-year-old?
That's a badass answer.
Thank you.